James Myrtle dropped a few bombs this morning about the Leafs. He had an article and he did a radio hit. And the first one that everybody's freaking out about, that I don't think you should, but I understand why it's a big story, is the three-way trade with Toronto, Carolina, and Vegas that supposedly was discussed, but really didn't even come close to coming together at the trade deadline. It would have been Mikko Rantanen in Toronto, Mitch Marner in Vegas, and I don't know what would have gone to Carolina. I would think like a William Karlsson or something like, maybe, I don't know. But
great question.
Here's the thing: the Vegas and Carolina were unable to, quote, come up with the assets to make the trade work. And what's interesting about that is then they pivoted to just Toronto, Carolina, which we obviously already knew about. And Mitch, in this scenario, was never even asked, from what we understand, to waive his no trade. I don't think James said that, but from what I understand from people I've talked to. And so
it didn't get that far down the line.
Yeah, it's like sort of like, hey, do you want to buy a Ferrari someday? Like it's sort of it's one of those conversations.
And these things happen all the time.
All the time.
GMs talk about trade.
Yes.
So yeah.
And people are already, I see people online, I see you, and you're already like, well, if Mitch didn't waive his no trade. Guys, at no point was Mitch waiving his no trade clause this spring. His wife was 4 weeks from giving birth.
Yeah.
Stop. He told the team at the start of the year, I am not waiving, I am not negotiating. And this whole, which
is frustrating, but then you shouldn't have let it happen
his
in
contractual
2023.
Right.
We've already been through this.
The number two thing that I found way more interesting and kind of encouraging is the Leafs and Max Pacioretty could get back together.
Nice.
It was a tough season with injuries, obviously, played like 37 games, but in the playoffs, he was spectacular. And why wouldn't you want that kind of depth? And are you upset if Max Pacioretty plays no more than about 40 games over the course of the season, depending upon what you're paying him? Because to me, and I think Freege was talking about this on 32 Thoughts this morning with Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn is probably going to stay in Dallas, had 49 points, and is a valuable player and is still the captain, and you probably get him on a pretty sweet deal. And the thing about him that Elliott kept saying was they got to find a way to get him fresh for the playoffs. So just like with goaltenders, like load management, everybody's like, oh, there's a bunch of wimps. Like when you get into your late 30s and the game is as fast as it is, I don't really care if Max Pacioretty misses 50 games. I care if he plays like he did in the playoffs.
Yeah. Jamie Benn, games played the last 4 years. 22, 82, 23, 82, 24, 82, 25, 80.
That's
the guy
a lot of
plays hockey.
And you're talking playoffs in there, right?
Oh, yeah, and then plus the playoff games. Like, those are just the regular season games played. Like, Jamie Benn is always in the lineup.
6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points in 17 playoff games. Do you want me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You want Evander Kane.
Nice.
He didn't play a single game this
I do want Evander Kane on my hockey team. He's a very good performer.
Yeah.
So you might look at it and go, listen, I know you got to get through the regular season, but listen, you're the Leafs. You find a guy who performs well for you in the playoffs, maybe keep him.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, do you want to explain the place that Alan and you guys discussed on Agent Proctor a couple of weeks ago about where he thinks the league is going with the older players and their contracts?
So this is fascinating. One of the things, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit later, the Ottawa Senators are not committed to spending the cap next season. Okay. And before we look at that as like a bad thing, Alan kind of mentioned that you're going to start to see guys in, and I'm not saying this is Max, but in his age range, your plus 35s, right?
Yep.
Where you get the contracts, and a lot of these contracts are not signed. So Jamie Benn falls into this category too, where you can just load them up with bonuses based on their play. And so what happens then is you may not see some of these guys signed until December or January. Because they're just going to stay in shape. They're going to stay home with their family. And then they're going to get geared up and ready for the playoffs in 2026. And he said that type of reinforcement is really attractive to teams, especially teams with a little bit of cap space, because you're not giving up any assets and you're getting experience and the guys are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you're under a PTO deal, can't they just work with your staff anyway?
I don't know what that is.
But the PTO only lasts through training camp, right?
No, Brandon Prust, I remember years ago, stayed with the Leafs for, I want to say it was like a month before they cut him loose.
Like, can you have like a PTO from October to January?
That's a question for Alan.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I would like to know the answer to that, but I don't know. So I think the the point is that, guys like this, Jamie Benn's the other one, but there will be, what did CJ keep saying? Old guys having a moment, right?
Old guy season.
Your Corey Perrys, your Brad Marchands, all these guys are now into that range.
Old guy agenda.
I'm curious about Max Pacioretty, and if, he did mention it was tough on him being that far away from his family. They're in Michigan, and I know that's not that crazy far, but it's still like a 5-hour drive from Toronto.
It's far enough.
And he has 5 children, so it's difficult to uproot them.
An hour per child.
100%.
It's too far.
If you knew Max Pacioretty was coming back and you were going to sign him in at January 15th or something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And you know what it does too until that time? It gives you an opportunity to try out some of the younger guys in your system and go, do you fit here? Do you fit here?
Light
Do
a
you
fire
fit here?
under him.
Right.
As well.
Because Max is coming, and you could tell them that Max is coming. So if you want a spot, you better seize one.
Well, your job is over that 3 or 4 months to make it so that the team's looking and going, you know what, maybe we don't even need Max.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yep.
And if you can't accomplish that goal, well,
I agree.
it's your fault.
I agree.
The no risk for the injury side of things, I think, has got to be one of the most attractive parts for teams. Like Pacioretty got injured this season, and he didn't play for large chunks of it because he was playing early on. And if you just don't have him playing competitive hockey for 4 months and you don't have to worry about him not being available come playoff time, like that's a really attractive for these teams.
I agree.
Like, you're getting a healthy body. It's awesome.
And that's the thing. Like you look at why do you really need Max Pacioretty for 82 games? Is Max Pacioretty, if Max Pacioretty at this point is going to make or break your regular season, you're not that good, and he's probably not signing there.
I got a goal and 3 assists, 4 points in 5 games. You want me?
Yeah.
Gabriel Landeskog.
Oh, pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know where he's staying.
Well, I know, but like this is what I'm saying with him, with Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, what do we do? How about half the Panthers?
Well, and I look at I've suggested this before for the Leafs, and we'll talk about the Senators in a second because I think they're an important example. We as Leaf fans are not used to the Toronto Maple Leafs having any sort of cap space because the David Clarkson contract and the LTR Nathan Horton thing, and then the cap gets eaten up by the core four who needed to have every damn dollar, and then cap goes flat for 3.5, 4 years. And now we're in a new era where we probably should have been 5 or 6 years ago, where the cap is expanding and it's going rapidly. And we know it's going to jump $10 million a year, basically, maybe even more. And so what happens, and teams who don't spend at the cap will tell you this, is that you accumulate space over the course of the year.
Right.
So what looks like $5 or $6 million is equivalent to like 30 million or something. I'm making that up, but come playoff like trade deadline time,
it's a bigger number.
And the cap space, like a team like the Leafs, who I think and I would advocate for a step back year this year, a year where you're not 100,000% going for it, could benefit from something like that by facilitating trades and getting draft picks and maybe lower end prospects by helping teams that are really going for it go for it. And so if you have $5 or $6 million, that's a very valuable amount of space come post Olympics. And I think if the Leafs play this one intelligently, not only you're going to be able to sign guys like Max, who knows who else will be available. Is Jonathan Toews going to be ready for next season to start? I don't know. Apparently Winnipeg has the spot ready for him, ready to go, but he's 37
and
hasn't
Lowry,
played in
though.
2 years.
No Lowry.
Maybe
the second Lowry comes back. All right, now we sit Toews.
Yeah, I don't know.
For a little while, and then maybe at some point towards the end of the season, they both play together.
But it's a kind of a fascinating sort of thing, right? And I think the same thing with goaltending. I'm sure there's going to be goaltenders who are a little bit older who can sit for a little bit and wait. Like Kevin Lankinen waited right into training camp last year and put together a pretty damn good season with the Canucks.
And he could do it as a goalie who's used to sitting. And then there's Jeremy Swayman, and it ruined the season.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's...
The last one that James sort of there's a couple more he mentions in his article, but James is suggesting, and I think we've heard this from other people too, that the Anaheim offer is going to be basically Anaheim is signaling that their offer to Mitch Marner in free agency is going to be the highest.
The Godfather offer.
Yes, whether
everything.
or not he takes it, it will be more than say because Leon's going to make $14 million.
It's going to be more than Leon.
It's going to be more than that.
Yeah.
And I've heard as high as 15.
Is Marner going to be
20.
the highest paid player in the
I'll stop
NHL next year?
It depends on, this is the thing. It depends on what he wants. And for everything that I've heard that he wants to be on a winning team, which means he's not going to be the highest paid player in the NHL next year.
$13 million was available to Tavares in 2018
from San Jose, who were going for it still.
Right.
And fell right off a cliff after that.
I think that would have aggressively changed their plans, because wasn't that before they got Erik Karlsson?
I don't remember.
I don't know. But I mean, I have a hard time believing they would have been able to have all of that and Karlsson and Tavares. So these huge, ginormous cap hits that keep getting floated out there, they've been available for years. They haven't been available where you can win.
Yes, and they're not this year. You look at the teams like Dallas is what, $5 million to spend. Vegas has
doesn't Dallas have like negative money?
Yeah,
to
they're like they have
spend?
nothing. It's kind of nuts.
They're gonna
right?
get offer sheeted.
If the Panthers are very seriously interested in Marner from everything that we've heard, and why wouldn't he be interested in them? They're in the Stanley Cup final. But if you're going to Florida, maybe that's a $10 or $11 million deal. That's not a $15 or $16 million deal.
What do you think about Carolina? They have, I think, $30 million in cap space.
Yep.
They could do the giant offer like Anaheim and be in a position to win.
I gotta say, I've been fully supportive of listen, turn down the trade. You got to protect your family and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes to Carolina after turning down a trade there for Mikko Rantanen,
what are you gonna do?
I think I might be upset.
Well,
oh yeah,
yeah, but his wife was 4
I
weeks
know.
away. You wouldn't have waived either.
I wouldn't have waived either. You're totally right, and I support it. But a lot of people are going to have a really, really hard time stomaching that.
I agree. It doesn't matter though. He doesn't care. Why would he care?
I know he doesn't care. Well, apparently he does care though.
Well,
Let's stop saying he doesn't care. He very aggressively cares.
Does Carolina not make a lot of sense for
It does.
the team that is in the
Stylistically big?
the right competitive window? Who needs a star player? They need probably more of a scorer, but Mitch Marner can facilitate scoring. I think
Marner with
everybody-
Aho's crazy.
I think everybody can agree with that. And they have the cap space.
I would say he's the best Carolina Hurricane that isn't currently one. And what I mean by that, Jesse, is I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
He is perfect for that. But the problem becomes when you get to the second and third rounds, although that's still a great problem to have. Perimeter, like Carolina plays, doesn't work.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about, I don't even want to get that far.
Right.
I'm just talking about come July 1st.
Yeah.
Do they not make a lot of sense?
And
let's not worry about July 2nd.
What were they willing to offer? They were willing to go over 13 on Mikko, I think.
I tell you what,
So-
Jesse just said something very important there, though. July 2nd?
Yeah.
Bullshit, Mitch. July 1st, noon. Get this over with.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll be the first video we do.
into the summer.
Yeah, I want this to be done.
It will
with
be. It will
come the first transaction we hear about at noon 01.
July 1st, noon.
Actually, the only thing that will stop it is the bidding war. The inevitable bidding war. There will be a bidding war.
Oh, not if his agent does his job.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Let's
bidding
get-
war takes place on the 29th
Tampering.
and the 30th. And,
Get ready for the tampering
28th.
Olympics.
Yeah.
The last
12:01.
Where are you guys ranking the Marner teams? Because Vegas is the one that's being talked about a lot recently with that trade and everything.
Yeah.
But they only have $9 million in cap space.
they'll
So they
fire
gotta,
somebody into the
They
sun.
got to make some moves. Carolina makes a lot of sense. There's the Anaheim. There's Florida. There's not coming back to Toronto.
Okay, so
where do you guys? What's your ranking of where Mitch Marner lands?
So I'll say this. Florida makes a ton of sense. Dallas makes a boatload of sense.
I don't think so. After they got
Marner and Rant.
Yeah,
I don't think- I don't know
Dallas.
how that-
I think Dallas, man.
I
Dallas,
don't think so.
No,
I
I don't
disagree
think
with
so.
that one.
One team I've heard emerge because taxes are a real thing in California. Taxes are a real thing for these players. They do consider them. Los Angeles, man. Los Angeles. Big city, small market in the sense that we've even had Kings fans reach out and go, hey guys, Anze Kopitar is barely known here and it's embarrassing.
Marner to Trevor Moore. Score.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think, and I don't mean LA's a small market team by NHL standards. It's not. But what I mean is in terms of sports coverage in that market, you have a hardcore fan base, but you got 2 or 3 NFL teams already that are more important. I would even say that the Raiders are more important in LA, even though they're in Vegas now, than the Kings might be. And I think Los Angeles makes a ton of sense. So my top 3, weirdly, are, I'm still saying Dallas,
Bad.
Florida, Los Angeles.
Steve.
Let's go number 3, LA. Adam sold me.
Oh.
This is a good pitch.
Yeah.
Let's go number 2,
Don Draper, that you sold the ad.
Carolina. And number 1, because this allows me to tack on my pet theory, Vegas.
How will Vegas open up their cap space?
Anybody.
My pet theory is they trade Mark Stone.
Interesting. Now, here's a thought. Part of the way that Vegas could pay for Mitch Marner,
Deferred salary?
nope, LTIR. Because Friedge was saying this morning that Pietrangelo might not be ready for the start of the year.
Oh.
And he said he's heard that before and he's played. But here's the thing. If you're Petro, and let's say you've given up because Team Canada, we talked about this last episode. I love Pietrangelo.
He's not playing.
But he may not play in the Olympics because he gave up his spot and was filled in for perfectly by Thomas Harley when Harley got in.
They're already setting it up.
I don't think he's going to go.
No,
I think he wants to win a cup in the. I
Yes.
wonder if Pietrangelo sits the season.
They're setting it up.
That might be extreme.
He missed the Four Nation face-off. They're already floating. He might not start the season.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't going to be at the Olympics.
He's busted.
He's
And
hurt.
you can see why.
Yeah.
He plays hard.
If they
get
rid of no one and get Mitch.
Listen, I it's hard to imagine Mark Stone not on that team now, but I can also see your theory working.
And it's not because Stone's a bad player. It's
No, he's
just
great, but it's Vegas.
he gets hurt a lot, and it's Vegas. They need to remind everyone how ruthless they are.
Their point is, are you at your peak? If you're not, you're out.
Yep, that's everybody. Absolutely everybody. Goodbye.